next week's packet.
Good evening. It's now 7 p.m. This is the rescheduled May 15th Zoning Board of Review meeting. I am the chair, Andrew Ellis. To my right is the vice chair, Jason Ragon, followed by Jason Nystrom, Barrett Holby, and Michael Elves. Excused this evening are Chuck Thibodeau and David Francis. Mr. Elves, who is normally an alternate member, will be a regular member filling the place of Mr. Thibodeau this evening. We do have a quorum, so we're able to proceed with the meeting. The first matter is the minutes to be approved from April 17th. Is there discussion or a motion on that?
I'll move approval as circulated.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor of the April 17th minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are passed. We have no items of old business, so we can jump right into new business. Application 2415, Jocelyn Renee, owner and applicant, 806 Main Street, Plat 15B, Lot 1. Request for dimensional variance to construct a front porch with less than allowed front and side yard setbacks in the R10 overlay district. Would the applicant or representative please come forward? Well, if you can just identify yourself by name and address for the stenographer.
Jocelyn Renee, 806 Main Street.
All right. Ms. Renee, if you'd just like to give a brief description of what you'd like to do and why you're here for a variance.
I just wanted to bring, just add a couple of feet to the front to make it just a little bit wider. That's all.
Your front porch.
My front porch, yeah.
And so the zoning official has prepared a chart for us that reflects the mandatory reduction in requirements. This is accurate to your best of your representation. Okay. So the front yard setback depth, you're proposing to have 11 feet, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and based on the reduced requirement, you're required to have 20.13. So we're looking at a difference of a bit under 10 feet. And you also have side yard, which appears to be existing. Oh, that one's existing 30. Oh, here is 4.8. All right, you're required 12.078 and you're asking for 4.8. And that's the side of the porch, correct?
Yep.
Could you just briefly explain what was the thought process behind the way you designed this porch? I see it looks like it's aligning with the side of the house. Is that?
That's how it was originally. That's how long it was, and that's more or less what it looked like originally.
So there was an original porch
Yes.
on this house sometime
Yeah.
prior.
When we bought it, it was falling down at that time, so we took it.
How long ago was that?
1993.
Okay, so basically you're rebuilding in the same footprint that was
Mhm.
there in 1993.
Yeah.
Do you feel this is consistent with other homes in the neighborhood that have a porch along the front of their house facing
Yeah.
the street? And would you say that the setbacks that you're asking for are similar to those of your neighbors in your observations?
Yeah.
Do you foresee the construction of the porch causing any nuisance or hardship in the neighborhood or any sort of aggravation to anyone?
No.
Is there any reason to believe that the new location of the porch would cause any visibility issues around the
No.
corner of that
Nope.
street intersection?
Mhm.
If the applicant, correct me, the house kind of sits up a little bit. I'm not going to call it on the hill, but it's raised.
Is it?
It's
Yes.
not-
Mhm.
And it appears that the front of the house is all within the setback, so no matter how you configure this porch, you're going to need relief sometime. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
And you provided some drawings here of how the porch is going to appear.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
preliminary.
And it's going to be a one-story porch.
Yes, yep.
And just for the applicant, I know you said when you bought the house, or in 92 is when the old, I'll call it the original porch had been taken down. Do you know if that was original to the home or?
Yeah, yes. There's a picture of my house in the Historic Warren book. And you can see a front porch on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that should be noted that town comprehensive plan encourages the preservation of historic structures, and it sounds like you're returning a historic element to the house that was
Trying.
previously lost.
Trying.
Any other specific questions before we entertain public comment?
I think we may also just want to clarify for the record that although it is currently non-conforming, we will also need a variance for lot.
That the current is 21,758,
The adjusted's 23.8, and the proposed is 24.7.
so just slightly over. And I think that's reasonable, but anyone looking at this could understand that that would cover more area. So we're gonna add in the amount of lot coverage you have for the porch.
And just to check with the building official, do you think we could round off to 2 digits? Just because I don't want to say that many digits.
You don't want to say 24.7391953.
Well, listen.
Percent.
Let's
The
just
Lord help us all.
administratively, we'll accept 2 digits. All right, is anyone in the public here that would like to offer any sort of input on this application? I'm not seeing anyone. Returning to the applicant, so is there any further information you'd like to share with us about this proposal to construct the porch that you think is of benefit to your case?
I don't know. I just want to put the porch back on. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Any further questions of the applicant or other discussion? Someone prepared with a motion on this application?
I will move approval of application 24-15, Jocelyn Renee, owner and applicant, 806 Main Street, plat map 15B, lot 1. Request for a dimensional variance to construct a front porch with less than the allowed front and side yard setbacks in an R10 overlay zoning district. In approving this variance, we will note that the hardship is due to the unique characteristic of the subject land or structure and is not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. We have heard testimony that historically there was a porch on the front of this building, and the building itself occupies the majority of the front setback. So any existing historical porch would have been non-conforming to begin with. There is a small porch there now, which will be removed to replace what would have been the historical footprint of the porch on the front of the house. The hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant. This is in an effort to restore some of the historic fabric of Main Street and bring the house back to the condition that it would have been originally. Granting this request and variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area. In so much as we have heard testimony, the porch is historical. We have heard testimony that the existence of this porch will not affect any visibility coming around the corner of either Vernon or Main Street at that prominent intersection. And we will note that the relief granted is the least relief necessary in so much as we are talking about replacing a footprint which does or used to exist on this building to
We
be.
got rid of that one. Can we get rid of the least relief?
We got rid of
Yeah, we got rid of
least relief one away?
mere inconvenience.
Oh, mere
It's
inconvenience.
still, we're still doing a mirror.
Yeah,
But the
so-
least relief.
Oh, gotta make that edit.
Maybe one day we'll have an actual updated ordinance.
Yeah. Too much to ask.
I've been here
And
12 years.
we will further find that if this relief were not to be granted, it would amount to more than a mere inconvenience, as the existing porch is very small relative to the size of the house, and we would be denying the applicant the opportunity to restore the historic fabric of the home in which she lives. We will note that the variances requested are for a side yard setback of 4.8 feet, where 12.1 feet is required, a front yard setback of 11 feet, where 20.13 is required, and a lot coverage of 24.74% where 23.9 is required.
Are there any conditions or amendments to that motion? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so your motion is passed 5-0, so you can move forward with your porch.
Thank you.
Please submit your plans to the building inspector.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, have a nice evening. The next matter is application 2416, Ruai and Kayla Nunes, Nicholas and Monica Pereira, owner and applicant, 16 to 18 Long Wharf Drive, plat 6, lot 127. Request for a dimensional variance to construct an addition that exceeds the allowed lot coverage in the R6 district. If you'd like to, whoever's going to testify, could please identify themselves by name and address.
I'm Kayla Nunes and I live at 16 Long Wharf Drive.
All right,
So we are here to request a variance because we would like to add 2 additions. It's a duplex, so one on each side. The addition will have an office on the first floor and then on the second floor, a bedroom. And the reason why we are seeking this is the bedroom is for our growing families. And the office spaces is because 3 out of the 4 adults that own the property are remote workers. So we would like separate office space so we can have meetings and stuff, be more private.
next, just a moment here. So Mr. Zoning Official, there was no special reductions on this property, so I don't see a table attached. This just goes by the normal standards. Are there some kind of are the additions limited to just the front of the house?
Yeah, yes,
Along where the porch is?
yes. So we would like to also, I forgot to add, build a front porch that's shared.
So there's no porch car,
No, currently there's like 2 small little, like,
little steps.
yeah.
I'm just having a hard time visualizing. Do you have? Can we crack those open? Thanks. How do you want to do this?
Just hold it there.
Okay. I am the center. I don't care. All right, so we've got,
So we can see the existing condition on the plan here where there's 2 small sets of steps.
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just looking at the first page here, so we've got the 2, so basically. You're just gonna kind of extend the building out, and then in the middle, you're gonna be adding.
Yes, you'll see that. I believe there's, the 3rd page, it's A1. You'll see the floor print. And I believe it also has a picture of what the front house would look like. And if it's not on that page, it's on the next one.
Okay. Okay, so it's gonna be like a covered porch with a metal.
Roof.
Over the top? Okay.
Yes,
And so this is 2 stories,
yes.
All right, that,
and there's a balcony or something on top.
No, that's the metal roof. It looks like a balcony, but it's not.
This is going on the front of the house?
Yes,
This front elevation. Where'd the doors go?
The doors are gonna face each other instead of,
Oh, so as you,
Got here.
so we're gonna walk into like a little entryway.
yeah, so if you walk up the stairs, you're just gonna walk into a wall. You need to go left or right.
Yes, yes, because where the wall is, that's our basement, so we can reconstruct.
Gotcha. Because the way it is currently, it's kind of got like the two small porticos like
Mhm.
side by side.
Yes.
Okay.
So the front setback based on the plan that's in the packet, you're maintaining 26 feet, is that
Yes.
true? And so that's over the 20 feet that's required.
Yes,
So there's no problems there.
correct. It's
And
just
you're-
the lot coverage.
In your side yard, you're keeping what you have, you're not going any further than the house
Correct.
is now. So it's just a matter of the square footage of lot coverage.
Correct.
Are there any other structures presently on this land, like a detached garage or a shed or anything like
We have a shed, but
that taken into consideration with the lot coverage?
no,
Do you have an estimate of how big the shed is?
8x12.
And you need to identify yourself, please.
Yeah, Ruby News.
You're Rui Noon.
yes, he's my
Okay.
husband.
And you said it's 8x12.
8x12.
Look at that,
96 square feet.
96. We just want to make sure we get the coverage you're requesting correct.
Yeah.
We have a question. Sure. Just-
It was actually brought to my attention that the amount that I wrote on that sheet that you're looking at is
Yeah.
actually more than what we need, because I had counted for the square footage upstairs.
Oh.
So we actually
yeah.
only need,
Right.
an additional 524 square feet. And that will increase our lot coverage from 21% to 26%.
So what is the,
And the,
what's the footprint number that you're shooting for now? So we have 1,849 square feet as the existing. What-
correct,
what would
correct.
the new
And the new one would be 2,337.
2337
Yes.
Okay,
plus the 96.
plus the 96. Over 8978. And this is staying as a duplex, right? There's no change. There's no change to the duplex. It's
No.
still going to be.
It's still a duplex.
Just doing a little mathematic exercise. Now.
Is there any concern about parking because we're adding bedrooms?
So it's not specifically by bedroom, it's by dwelling unit. So there was 2 dwelling units existing.
Nothing's changing, so yeah.
Dwelling units.
So we get 27%.
All right, so 25% is required. We're now looking at moving up to 27%. So that's a 2%. Is what you're looking for.
So it's less than 28 that they. Yeah.
Yes, nominally. And so just because we're going to give you, if it's approved, we'll say you can have up to 27% lot coverage.
Okay.
If you change, you can change the shape or whatever you want, however you build this thing, as long as it doesn't go over 27.
Okay.
Like one of those sides has to bump out more, the other bumps out less, whatever you want to do, that's fine. So long as you don't go over the 27 or don't start to interfere with setbacks.
Okay.
So we're just giving you a number for the square footage of coverage. How you cover the lot with that number is entirely.
Okay.
You can work with that?
Any other specific questions before we go to public comment? Okay. Is there anyone in the public here that would like to speak regarding this application? I'm not seeing anyone. Do you have any further evidence you'd like to give? We've heard that the reason for this is because there are growing families and people are increasingly working remotely,
Yes,
and there's a need for additional square footage in this duplex, presumably to allow the families to remain in this house and remain in this town.
correct. Nothing else.
Do you feel, in your opinion, that this type of addition is compatible with some of the neighboring properties that it's not going to overwhelm any of the neighboring properties or seem like it's out of character with the neighborhood?
I don't think so.
In your opinion, you think it still fits well with the neighborhood?
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Is there any further discussion about the addition to this property? Okay, someone ready with a motion?
I'll move approval of application number 2416, Rui and Kayla Nunes, Nicholas and Monica Pereira, owner and applicant. 16 to 18 Longworth Drive, plat map 6, lot 127. Request for a dimensional variance to construct an addition that exceeds the allowed lot coverage in the R6 zoning district. In granting this variance, we find that the hardship is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area and not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant. There's been testimony given that the reason for this expansion is to increase the living space on the property. The land is what it is, and there's no other way to feasibly construct this addition due to the unique shape of the home, where it's currently kind of like a horseshoe shape. There's been some testimony, I believe, that expanding it to the front's the most legally viable route to go. We find the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant. Again, this is testimony given that this is an expansion and addition they would like to make. They're not correcting anything that they have done previously. We find that granting this variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area, and the request conforms to the purpose and intent of the Warren zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan. There's been testimony taken that this property is currently a duplex and it is going to remain a duplex. There's been testimony given that this expansion is not something that would be out of line with the other homes in the area. We also find that this request conforms with the zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan. Again, testimony has been given that this is an attempt to expand living space for these families to increase, so they can increase the size of their families, as well as perform remote work more easily with more living space. Thus, this expansion is trying to keep these families in town while just making it easier for the families to live. And we find that if this were not to be granted, the hardship would be more than a mere inconvenience. Testimony given, both by directly and by implication, that this expansion is needed due to the growing family sizes and current work restrictions placed on them. Regarding the specifics, this is only for lot coverage. Currently, 21% is existing, required is 25%, and what is being sought is 27%, which is a 2% overage. Thus, we are allowing for total lot coverage of 27%. Where 25 is required.
Okay, are there any conditions or amendments? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the motion is passed. So when you're ready, you can submit
Do
your
you
plans.
keep
for the
those or
deck
do-
note. Yeah, I think we have to have something because she showed them.
Oh.
I can email it to you. Yeah. I have that. Yeah.
So then should we just mark the plans as exhibit A?
Exhibit A for the applicant, but she'll email one to be included, a smaller size to be included in the record.
I'll do it right now. for you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Very good. The next matter is 2417. Broom Property Holdings LLC owner and Carrie Hathaway applicant, 653 Medicom, flat 15A, lot 277. Request for special use permit to allow for mixed use as well as outdoor recreation in the business zoning district. Would the applicant like to come forward, please?
Mr. Chairman, I must have recused myself.
Okay, so Mr. Elms is recusing himself on this application, so the four remaining members will form a quorum for this matter. So good evening, Ms. Hathaway. Just want to introduce yourself for the record and state your address, Mr. Norbert, looking forward to that.
My name is Carrie Hathaway. I live at 12 Evergreen Drive in Swansea, Massachusetts.
Okay, so please give us an overview of what your project consists of and why a special use permit is necessary to do what you're planning.
So currently I'm looking at the property. First of all, I am under the impression that at one point it was used as mixed use prior to this current owner. It was residential in the front and business in the back. Then he converted it all to commercial. I'm looking to get it back to the original status of residential in the front and business in the back. I would like to open a play center for small children in the back part of it. And the front I would like to use as a residential property.
Okay, so is this play center something that's licensed through Department of Children and Families or?
So it's actually it's basically an activity center. So I provide a play space. I host birthday parties. It is something that is very similar to, I have nothing to do with the daycare
Nothing.
or it's just a play area. So I just provide, puzzles or toys, or I can bring in entertainment, have a princess party one day. It's more of a social event. It's something for to create community between people and to give a good experience to the parents and the children. There's a lot of, things in this world that have gone by, and the parents seem to be very active in their own lives with their own business. And this is just a really good way of bringing back interactive play between the children and the parents.
So this is essentially a service-based business. It would be an hourly rate, or something like that, to come in and use the space, either
Correct.
for a party or just as an individual and child coming in.
Correct.
There's a
So-
place up in Seacock, I don't remember the name of it, but it's
Play date.
yeah, like you basically buy like a day pass or an hour pass. Play date. Yeah, well, you know what I'm getting, yeah. So is that kind of what you're looking at? We mark a copy of this as
Yeah,
exhibit A. for the,
Certainly, let's include that. So what is the maximum number of guests you would anticipate having on the property at any point?
So I've already met with the fire chief, and 45 was the agreed number for safety purposes and for what the town, I believe, permits.
So that would be including adults and children. and
Correct.
Yourself or whatever supervisory staff. So a total of 45 individuals is the maximum that could be in this event space.
Correct. So I believe he said up to 50, but we're going to call it 45. So that way gives us a little extra flow over if, there was an extra person that was working staff or somebody brought an extra person in, so I wouldn't go over the number.
Yeah, ultimately, if this were to be approved, the fire chief will end up posting a sign in the
Mhm.
premises that tells you how many he's going to allow officially. Then you'll have to abide by that. Can you please describe what is the parking situation? at this property?
So currently there's there's parking in front, and my intention would be to extend the parking lot to the end of the property where the fence is that separates I believe it's town-owned next door. And I would look into making more appropriate spacing. Make sure that I, find out the inlets and outlets, curbing and all that. I know there's certain requirements that,
So is there parking you're also making it a permanent apartment or living area?
correct.
And where, are they gonna park in the same area?
So That right now it would be something that I would speak to someone about. I could either add a parking space on the side area. I did speak to the I had a home inspection come by, and asked him for ideas, and either I could make the first parking space strictly for the apartment and then separate the parking for the rest of the business.
So have you done a calculation of how many parking spaces you're required to have for the business and the apartment?
I have not.
Okay, so I think we're gonna do that, now.
Yeah, that's one of my concerns. It's gonna be a residence, so there's, you know, but Ridgeway is residential. I'm concerned about having, you know, a parking menace kind of spilled down the road. So having ample parking on site is that's something I'm concerned about.
Did you say you own the property?
I do not.
So
Nope.
you're renting it from properties?
No, I'm looking to purchase it, but it's depending on whether or not I get mixed use or not.
So if this goes through, you're purchasing.
Correct.
10 for the business.
I think we've decided it's 10 for the business, because it's five spaces to start with, plus one for every 250 square feet of space devoted to business.
So I'm sorry, I didn't.
Five spaces for a business to start with, plus one additional space for every 250 square feet of floor area the business takes. Are you in concurrence with that?
Yep.
Sorry, are you in concurrence with that? Okay, so the business we decided requires 10.
Yep. And then the residential would be 1, 2, 1.
Yeah, just the one.
Single family.
Oh, is this a
There's
new
only
one?
one?
What is this? What kind of apartment is this? One for residential.
And you're
So
just
they
looking
found
at,
the law.
you're just putting one residence in, correct? Well, thinking
So-
about one residence.
So a total of 11 parking spaces.
Correct. Right now, it was a business. It was a,
Dog groomer.
Yeah.
it was a dog groomer, and there are already parking spaces out there. And I would have to just find the, dimensions for, lining it and making sure that, there's quite a bit of space from the end of the pavement to where the actual property ends. And that's what I was looking, to extend it.
The plan provided shows 11 spaces, so I think we can safely say that parking can be satisfied on site.
They're on here, but it's a little. I appreciate the drawing. It's a little rough and ready though. It's, having been through some of the other parking questions,
Yeah.
you know.
I think we'd have to condition it, if we were to approve it, that the parking layout be subject to approval by the fire department to make sure there's adequate fire lanes and circulation for emergency vehicles.
Absolutely.
And any changes that the fire department thought were necessary, they'd be able to. Right? Someone, hold on. Are you a member of the public? You're not with this.
This is my boyfriend. He's
Oh,
actually.
you're part of the
Yeah,
application.
he's part of what
All right,
I'm
well, if you'd
doing.
like to testify, you can,
Sorry for the interruption.
Say your name.
My name's Paul Thielhauer.
yeah,
Would the property have already been approved for the adequate parking?
that was a different use. That was a dog groomer. I
So when
think.
you say 250 square feet requires two parking spots? was it?
One per 250 square feet.
Right, so the property hasn't changed. It's still approximately 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, but this is a new business, so we have to rerun the calculations, because we're granting you a special use now to have a child event
Okay,
space.
so
as
the
opposed-
parking is different for that business.
No,
versus-
it may be the same amount of parking, we just have to memorialize it, that based on what you're asking, do the calculation to
Okay.
demonstrate that this new use is also meeting the requirement. But it appears you will have it because you've shown 11.
Yeah, there is existing parking there. So I was just trying to chime.
Yeah, every time there's a new use going in, we have to reconfirm that this new use still meets the requirement.
How wide is a parking space? If the drawing's right, it's 10
It's
feet.
9 by 18 as a standard parking space.
So it does look like they have it.
Yeah, I mean, it appears they do. I mean, it'll be subject to, you'll have to submit a final parking plan after taking into account the fire chief's consideration to the zoning. There'll be time, there's gonna be time for public comment, but we will need to get through with the applicant first. Oh, you're the present owner. All right, then you might as well come up.
Monday.
My name is Joseph Broom.
Yeah,
There is 8 parking spaces there now.
that's fine.
There's-
Come on up. How are you? Nice to meet you.
There is 8 parking spaces there now.
Right?
So I don't know if that was the problem, the issue. Oh, okay, so it wasn't. So she could add 3 more.
Yeah, and she's demonstrated that she's going to do that.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
if I can make a recommendation that this be contingent on the use, to make sure that the use is improper with the building code, and that if she is willing to extend the parking lot, because there is potential for ADA, so if it could be,
Mhm. It'll have to comply with all relevant state, federal, and local requirements and codes, including handicap accessibility, the building code, the fire code. There's also, you're putting a children's plaything in here in an apartment in this building. There may well be fire code implications of separations between these kind of uses or things that are outside the purview of this board, but you'll have to comply with in order to carry out this project. So you're willing to
Absolutely.
accept whatever conditions are required by law.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, has there been thought put into like what this commercial activity is gonna be classified
Well, I
as?
was just about to come around to that.
Oh, okay.
So, looking at the use tables, we have to classify, this as something. It's not really a daycare or childcare center. It's recreation.
Public recreation.
that's what a gym, a fitness gym would fall under. That's what this would fall under. It's public
So it's
recreation.
public recreation.
We have a town-owned recreation.
Well, it's not town owned.
No.
Yeah.
I'm also looking under 3251. It's eating and entertainment uses, commercial recreation structure.
Is there eating at this place?
So there's, I mean, the only thing that they may
Cupcakes.
snacks
I mean, you're not-
provided. I'm not
You don't-
cooking. No,
Well, I think eating and I'm not saying, I don't, the
Oh,
way I read.
and
yeah,
entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, because the theater and concert hall are in there, you don't, other than popcorn, you don't go to a theater. to eat.
So that would probably be the ones.
Commercial recreation
structure.
Just because it seems to be like,
It's a building where people can come.
To recreate.
yeah,
Yeah.
to recreate, yes.
All right, so, and that's allowed by special use, in the business district, so we're calling it a commercial recreation structure. Which fits in with what's allowed by special use in the district. Do we have anything, let me ask the zoning officer, is there any restrictions on having mixed use in this particular area?
No,
And the mix can be, there's no issue with the mix being on the same floor, that it's not residential on top of commercial versus it's residential on the same level as commercial? Or is that only applicable in the village business district?
I'd have to check on that, but I believe that is correct. It's only in the village business district.
That'd be-
This was approved in this district, and we have other properties in the same
They have
situation.
mixed
Mixed
on the same. So pending is verification.
there is a total separation of the front
Mhm.
portion
Yeah.
from the back one.
There's another part of the ordinance that in the downtown area, you're not allowed to even have them on the same floor. They have to be stacked one on the other. He's just confirming that that prohibition does not apply to the zone where this property is located, which we don't believe it does, but he's going to verify that.
Question for the applicant. I know this is not a daycare, I know, and you're not, it is not a daycare. That being said, do you need to get any sort of special certification from Department of Health or DHHS for this?
No, as far as I know, and I'm looking further into it as I go forward. This has all been pending on the purchase of the property. I will look into, investigate, find out whatever I can and make sure that I do everything. I definitely don't want to jump in and not know what I'm doing. So, as far as I know, I did speak to, one person and he did not believe that there were any requirements. So, because it's not daycare and because it's being supervised by the parents with the children. So it's a totally different ballgame than daycare.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like, it's kind of a unique space. I don't know if I necessarily know the answer. It's just, it's a thought I'm having.
Yeah.
Same thing, like, is there an issue with having a child-centered business shared space with the residents? I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a building fire code thing.
Yeah.
And again, we would condition this that if any state agency approvals are required, you'd be subject to obtaining those approvals, not for this property. Is the outdoor area, looks like it's going to be fenced in some way?
Mhm.
So, that's to address safety, so
Mhm.
no one's running into traffic in the parking area.
Agreed.
On the street.
What's trash gonna look like at this type of place? You've got a residence, they're gonna have their trash, and there's gonna be, is that gonna be in a dumpster? Are they gonna have municipal bins?
I would assume that it's probably gonna be just, it's residential, it's gonna be small amounts of trash in the back. There's not gonna be a lot of trash coming from the business part, so regular garbage cans. I don't know what the policy is. I'm assuming that it must be like a garbage can in a recycle bin.
So the business would have to have private trash collection versus the residents, which would be able to have municipal waste collection. So you'd have to provide some sort of area for the business to have its trash contained in a way that doesn't attract pests, that's in either some kind of dumpster or an enclosed trash collection area.
There's room on the property in the back area that I could leave outside of the fenced area, or maybe have a separate fenced area where I could put a small dumpster back there.
We'd likely condition any approval on the building and zoning official giving final blessing to a trash location and pickup plan to make sure that he's comfortable with where it's located and how it's being accessed.
Absolutely.
So a fenced, have a dumpster there, but have that fenced in, so it's not on a residential street so much. And, we've done that before where you open a gate and you can have access to the small dumpster.
And same thing, we know you're not like running a restaurant out of this, but generally what we've done, it is, go further on down Ridgeway, it is residential. We've traditionally conditioned trash pickup to be not before 8 a.m. and not after, was it 6?
I think that's right.
Yeah, generally.
Is that something that sounds okay?
I will do whatever I can to make sure everything works.
Okay. And as far as deliveries, are you anticipating any sort of like deliveries happening routinely at all to this place?
No.
Okay.
What would the general hours of operation that someone could come and utilize this facility? Because
So that's-
part of the approval, we're gonna have to give you. So it's better to ask for a wider range, because if you ask for something very narrow and then it doesn't work, you have to come back and ask for an extension. So give us what you anticipate would be the maximum range of hours of operation.
8 to 8 on Monday through Friday. Actually, maybe Monday through Sunday, Sunday through,
So 7 days a
Saturday.
week, you'd like to have 8 to 8.
if you want me to do the wide range, that's what I would
If
ask
that's,
for.
that's what you think works
I think
best for your business, that gives you the flexibility. We can go with 8 to 8, 7 days a week.
The only question I've got regarding that is you've got the outdoor play area. I'm roughly familiar with the area, but I'm just drawing a blank. Right next to where the outdoor play area would be on the next property. How close is that to the next closest house?
It's the storage facility for sand for the town.
Oh, okay, yeah, that answers that. Just worried about noise carryover.
Yep.
but Yeah.
Well, that's on the opposite side of the street, right?
No, it's adjacent to the property. It's right.
Storage facilities?
It's the DOT sand and salt yard.
Yeah.
Right, it's right behind it. It's to
Yeah.
the west.
That, okay.
So you indicated some kind of a sign on the corner. Is there a plan for what you're?
There's an existing
So
sign
you're
right
just
now.
Going to reuse that sign?
I am, if that's,
Yeah, so long as whatever you do to that existing sign, it needs to fit within whatever kind of placard is currently there on the sign. If you change the size or dimension of that sign, you'd have to come back
Mhm.
For a sign approval, if it was beyond what the ordinance allows. But as long as you reface what's already there, you're permitted to reuse that.
understood. Yeah.
Any new lighting being introduced on the property?
I'm not really sure. I haven't even seen the property at night to see what kind of lights there are, on the business area.
We'll probably throw in some conditions governing the lighting, should you choose to put in some lighting. Namely that it's not going to spill over onto adjacent properties or be angled in such a way to impair drivers, shining their eyes, things of that nature, creating any kind of nuisance with a light. Probably going to be conditioned that your lighting would be during your business hours and would not be left on 24 hours a day, things of that nature. Are you intending to provide restroom facilities that would be available for your clients?
I have a restroom that's in that, in the business area that's already been looked at by the fire chief.
Right, so the building official would have to determine if that is sufficient to the number of guests you're going to have, or anything would have to be done to that. So you just would have to comply with whatever his findings are
Okay.
to accommodate that. I was also any, you have to abide by, to not create a hazard in this area. Hanging decorations, things on the wall, the fire chief will need to regulate what type of materials those are to make sure there's not some kind of fire hazard being created with excessive or inappropriate decorations. So anything you plan to put up should probably be shared with the fire chief to make sure that's acceptable in the space.
Okay.
If I can ask the building official, is there anything special that we need to deal with insofar as the actual use of the primary business is in one use table, but the additional outdoor recreation use is in another? Do we just roll all of that into the approval of a mixed use facility? Or do we need to itemize those?
I'm gonna comment and then question, I'll have the solicitor just question. Mixed use is allowed in that district. The outdoor recreation is a special use to the mixed use. So it would be as if you were just doing a mixed use and then the special use for that other, for the commercial side.
So the special use would include both the indoor and outdoor recreation spaces.
Yes, that's why they're before us.
There's no modifications change or impending to the footprint of the building.
No,
You're working within what's already there.
correct,
Any renovations would be internal to the building.
correct.
Do you feel that this sort of business and residence combination is a suitable fit for the surrounding area, taking into account other types of residences, businesses in the neighborhood?
I noticed that there is a daycare that's down the street. I noticed that there's a lot of there's ice cream shops and things like that. There's family restaurants that are right around the corner. And I just feel like it's a good fit. I think families will come, entertain their children, and then utilize other businesses in the area. And I just feel like it's a great fit.
So you don't foresee this business having any negative impacts on
No.
other properties? You feel that it's a complement to what's already there?
Absolutely.
Do we have any specific questions before I ask for public input? Is there anyone in the public who would like to offer commentary on this application? Not seeing any. So we'll bring it back. Do you have any further information you want to share with us about the nature of this business? Or I think you've outlined the reasons why you think it's appropriate and explained what you're planning to do in this business.
Nope.
Okay. Does the board have any other questions for the applicant? Doesn't appear to be. Someone prepared with a motion?
Like me to try it, or
Okay, by all means, we can throw in the conditions as we get to them.
there's a lot of. I move to approve application 2417 from Property Holdings LLC, owner Carrie Hathaway, applicant 653 Medicom Avenue, lot map 15A, lot 277, request for a special use permit to allow for a mixed use as well as an outdoor recreation in a business zoning district. The special use will be compatible with the neighboring land uses. The applicant has stated, and we do realize that there are many other businesses in the area. Across is the Mexican restaurant, there's ice cream shops, there's McDonald's. There's other businesses that come and go. There's also residential in the house. Down the street, there is more residential. It's on Medicom Avenue, so it should be okay. Special use will not create a hazard in the neighborhood. The applicant has stated that she's going to fence in the play area. Kids should not be able to run out in the street. It's also, the business it's not a daycare, but it's, what do you call it? It's a,
Play center.
what was it, a space rental?
Play center.
Play center, that's the word, yes, play center. And it's, most of the kids will be supervised by their own parents as well. So bring people together for parties and little social events for children 1 through 8. Special use permit will be compatible with the community comprehensive plan. This will bring people together and make good use of the property. And the public convenience and welfare will be served by having this another residential apartment that the town does need for housing, and an area for children and their parents to get together. It'll be subject to the applicant showing that there is a plan for 11 parking spaces total, 1 for the residential and 10 for the business. We're interested in making sure that the fire marshal is all up to speed on anything you do, whether it's hanging, any safety things like that for exits. It's any licenses that you may need that we're not aware of. It will be upon you to get that, and it'll be required. A couple of other things are the trash. We want to make sure that there's a place for the trash, really for a residential to put his trash and recyclables, and for the business to have it clean. So when people drive out of Baja's Mexican restaurant or down the street, it's a clean, neat looking facility. Or area, residential area and your business. Signage, there is signage there. If you need bigger signage, you're probably gonna have to come back before us. And lighting, we're interested in making sure that there's no outboard lighting, as the chairman has stated, nothing that will affect driving. We sort of want dark sky lighting, but if your hours are 8 to 8 in the summer, it shouldn't be much of a problem. And in the winter, you probably won't be outside that much.
Right.
Is there anything else that I might have missed?
Hours of operation.
Hours of operation, you stated were 8 to 8, 7 days.
Anything else?
Just the parking layout be approved by the fire department.
We'll just reemphasize all federal, state, and local regulations, ordinances, codes, and requirements pertinent to this property must be enforced in order to ensure the safety of the town and your guests and occupants. And it'll be subject to whatever approvals those authorities feel necessary to grant.
Mr. Chair, just to add.
Yes.
Piggyback on.
Yeah.
See. ADA.
Yeah.
Accessibility.
Yes.
ADA parking, yeah, good point.
Those are all, whatever aspects of the ADA are relevant to this business, you'll have to comply with it. That includes the bathroom facilities or other public accommodations. The building inspector will guide you through that when you're ready to do your renovation plan. Is there anything else?
More than you think. It's handlebars for toilets and you've probably seen it.
Right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the motion is passed 4-0. So you can proceed with the process going forward, and then when you're ready, you can submit drawings to the building inspector.
Okay,
Good luck.
thank you.
Right. All right, so Mr. Elves is now returning to replace the board. We have application 2418. Gregory Sadovnikov, owner and applicant, 41 Washington Street, plat 4, lot 116. Request for dimensional variance to allow an accessory structure with less than the allowed property line setback in the R6. If you'd like to identify yourself for the stenographer.
Okay, my name is Gregory Sadovnikov. I'm the owner and I reside at 41 Washington Street. We've been there about 3 years. And we are requesting to put in a 10 by 16 garden shed in the northeast corner of the lot at the back. As it is, we have no garage or accessory structure. So this is for gardening equipment, bicycles, and also off-season storage of lawn furniture and the like. As it is now, it's a little bit of a hardship because you have to carry the furniture downstairs to store it for the winter, and it's a U-shaped, narrow basement stairs, so it's a little harder every year. We need a variance for setback because 10 by 16 exceeds the 120-foot standard setback. And that setback that we are requesting would allow us to tuck it into that corner without obstructing the gate that we use for access from our parking area. It would be adjacent to one neighbor's garage, although really not even in sight of their property except from upstairs windows, and pretty well shielded on other sides as well. I have spoken with neighbors on 3 sides. Nobody has any concerns. I spoke with Sandy Scott, Grant Heckert, and with Steve and Miriam Duval.
So is this accessory structure going to be 4 feet on both sides that are against the property line?
I would say between 4 and 5 feet. That allows it to fit between the fence and the gate in the one dimension, and also within some mature plantings in the other dimension.
So there's gonna be a minimum of 4 feet. It wouldn't be any closer than 4 feet.
Oh, no. No, I want to be able to, walk around and keep it clean as well.
I'll just ask the zoning official, there's no special setbacks on this property, so we're just going with the straight up requirements from ordinance. But he needs 10 feet on the 2 sides of the structure, and he's proposing 4 feet, a minimum of 4 feet.
We have received an email in support of the application. Can you tell us, when you're facing the front of your house, where the Antonio residence is?
Where, I'm sorry?
The Antonio residence, Matthew and Maya Antonio, are they to your right or to your left?
I'm not sure.
Well, they like
Have you ever met?
Honestly, I would probably recognize them by face, but not sure where they
They
are.
don't say what their address is.
They do not.
Right,
Just say they are a direct abutter.
all right, well, they're in support of it.
All right then.
I will say, it does appear from the layout, like it seems to be the least obstructive and probably most practical location if you're gonna put a shed in. this property.
Put it in
That's
the
our
back.
feeling.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
the
the
back.
back corner.
Yeah, I think I heard, let me make sure I heard you right. Where you park is right on the other side of the fence that you went out.
Correct, yeah, we park facing the back of the dental practice there. There's an
Where-
easement and a parking area.
So that's his parking back there.
And there's a 6-foot fence existing.
So is the building we're seeing in this picture, this is a garage of your neighbors? Is that? true?
neighbor's garage. Looks like there's a lot of stuff up there.
Be nice to have a place to put it, yeah. It's a well-developed garden, so takes some equipment.
And just giving the dimensions, I know you said you want to do a 10 by 16.
10 by 16, yeah.
You feel that if that's the appropriate size to store everything you think you need?
Yeah, in particular with winter, putting tables and benches and things in there that we have out during the nice weather.
And if this board were not to grant it, is it your testimony that you'd have nowhere else to store this stuff?
Well, it fits in the basement, but it is rather challenging.
So you'd have to, it sounds like, if you, without having the shed, you have to store everything in the basement, cart it up and out every time you want to use it.
Yeah, I take the little electric lawnmower up and down the stairs when I cut the little lawn that we have, for example. Bicycles we're keeping out on the porch, they're starting to get a little bit rusty. Be nice to keep them in shelter.
Did we say what is the height of the shed going to be?
I didn't look that up. It's a pretty standard shed. It doesn't have a loft space or an
It's
extension.
one
It's a gable end shed, pretty standard.
Of course, the final plans of the shed would have to be accepted by the building official to make sure that it's within the height requirements. We don't have specific height, I gather it shouldn't be a problem.
I wouldn't think so, no.
Any other specific questions at this time? Is anyone here in the audience that would like to offer commentary on this application? No? All right. So it's back to you then, as the applicant, do you have any further information you'd like to share about the need for this shed and why you feel it's appropriate to grant a variance?
I think it'll fit very well into the neighborhood. It will allow us to keep the property actually tidier by putting some things out of sight that don't need to be out all the time. And we do plan to acquire a shed with siding, so it'll be an attractive structure.
All right.
Do you have, just a question, so where you park and then you walk from the parking area to the back of the house, that's your typical route?
Yeah, we park in the back. There's a 10-foot double oversized gate. We go through that. We also back the vehicles in at times to unload things and such because we have a gravel yard essentially.
And is it, I can't tell from any of the pictures, but is it paved? Is it walkway? Is it just a path?
Inside the yard,
Yeah,
the center of it is pea gravel up
Pea
to the
gravel.
house, and then there's very developed gardens on all sides.
got it.
Prior owner did a ton of planting, and I've maintained it and augmented it.
Okay. Looks.
Do we have anything else? Is a motion ready?
I'll make the
Mr.
motion.
Reynolds would like to make a motion.
I'd like to make it a motion to approve application 24-18. Property located at 41 Washington Street, plat 4, lot 116. Proposal is for a 10 by 16 shed to be placed in the northeast corner of the yard. They're requesting a 4-foot setback to the east property line. is under the understanding that, due to the hardship, not characteristic of the subject, land and structure, it will not alter the general characteristics or the surrounding area, due to physical economics. He'll be able to store, store garden materials and also, store bikes and, equipment, in a dry area so that they, prevent them from rusting, and the, supplies from getting wet. Granting on this, variance will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area. He stated that it's going to be tucked away. It's going to be non-visible from, the abutters. It's the least obstructive area. To place the shed. And it's also going to, again, help to clean the yard up. The relief request is the least, relief necessary and allow the applicant, to keep the property, tidy and have a location just to be able to, store its properties.
Were there any other, was it more than an inconvenience? You get that in that?
It wouldn't be more, granting the experience would not be more than inconvenience to the applicant. It would be that he would be, he needs to keep the yard clean and keep his equipment and supplies dry. And I feel that it would be necessary for us to grant this for that reason.
Okay. Are there any other conditions or amendments? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Right, so the application is passed 5-0. So you can proceed with your plans.
Okay. Thank you. Do you need more documentation than what I've submitted?
No,
Have a good night.
we don't.
The only thing we should
He
probably,
might.
the only thing we should probably add to that is just the letter that we had.
Yes, the
Maybe
letter,
submit that as exhibit A, that
It
there
was
wasn't approval in the neighborhood.
yeah, you got the letter from the neighbor,
Right.
so that'll go in.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next, we have 2419, Paul Adaman and Leanne Hareed, owner, Paul Adaman applicant, 65 Church, plat 4, lot 42. Request for dimensional variance to construct a 4-foot by 8-foot accessory structure with less than the allowed property line setback in the water zoning district. Good evening, Mr. Adaman.
Hello, Chairman, members of the board, ladies. Paul Atman, 65 Church Street.
Very good. Please describe what you had in mind and why you think we should be amenable to it.
Huge ask, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, before you go further, I just have to ask the applicant, is this property a residential property or is it a mixed use property?
It's residential.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
So this is an interesting site. The property's longer in dimension along the frontage of the road than it is deep. Usually it's vice versa. And we've been living at the property since 2002. And we've been developing it slowly, gardening and adding amenities to the space. And as you can see, I have a little sketch here. We can submit for.
Oh, lovely. Supplemental material.
So as you enter into our garden, there's a empty area between a row of arborvitaes that we haven't been able to plant with anything. There's something in the ground there that just killing plants. And so we're proposing to create a screen between us and our neighbor Henry and Linda Blade with a pergola that we can enjoy and sit under and use it as a landscape feature. But due to the condition, if you look at the site plan, as you come into the central courtyard, it's flanked on either side by, on the right-hand side, a deck, and then the garage. And so there also is a little added storage area. So it gets a little tight if we keep off the pergola, the 4x10 pergola, 3 feet off the property line. And so the depth of the arborvitae's hedge is a perfect opportunity to inset the pergola and take advantage of that and create a screen between us and our neighbor.
Seems like a reasonable proposal.
And we're only here before you tonight because it's considered a structure, accessory
I
structure. It's
appreciate, I
habitable.
appreciate the
so-
effort. Do you have any specific questions on the accessory structure?
Oh, I do. On the pergola, is it gonna be like covered with vines and growth, or is it just gonna be the wood structure and that's it?
If something grows there, yeah, we
If
hope so.
something grows there.
But maybe it'll be from potted plants instead of from the ground. So-
There's nothing really grows there, huh? Just dies, toxic waste
Twice.
from a
Two sets of arborvitae's
Yeah.
turned brown after a few years.
banned boatyards. They must have put something there.
Well, it's interesting. It's a pretty developed area down there. There's where the garage is now used to be a blacksmith shop for many years by Mr. Burke, the original owner. And there was a lumberyard across the street. 1938 hurricane wiped that out. And there's been a lot of sort of industrial activity down there. It's one of the few houses that are that close to the water, along with my neighbor Mark here. So
The pergola going to be anchored to a foundation of some sorts?
it'll be sonotubes because it have to be tied down for proper air, for wind lift. So can probably go down to frost.
Do you find that in this general area that accessory structures such as this are within a tight distance of the property line?
Oh, yeah, I can name a few within 5-minute radius of our house.
So you feel that it's not going to create any upset in the character of the neighborhood?
I do not think so.
And I think we said where the pergola is 8 feet tall.
Not even.
Or
It's probably
less.
85 inches according to the documents we've submitted. But I would say max 8 feet. I mean, it's just a small, depending on how. it's-
Certainly not going to interfere with the height requirements. in the area.
No.
Any other specific comments before we go to the public? Is there anyone in the public who'd like to offer input on this? You, sir, would you like to come forward, please?
I'm Mark Greenbaum, at 81 Baker Street,
Yes?
just supporting his thing, and also I would point out that it's a garden piece. It's not really it's, I guess technically it could be called a structure, but
Out of an abundance of.
it's really a
caution.
landscaping garden piece. I think it's
And
great.
you own the abutting property.
I
that
live
is-
in, there's a house between us and him,
Gotcha.
the Henry.
All right, very good. Thank you for your support. Mr.
I have my
Adam.
closing statements now.
Yeah, if you have a closing argument to present.
Does the existing workshop, is that a garage or is that a real workshop?
It's a studio.
It's a
My wife's
studio.
studio.
Didn't mean to prolong the meeting.
Anything else, or are we ready with a motion?
I can make a motion if you'd like.
I would love if you would make one.
I'd make a motion to approve application 24-19, Paul Adaman and Lee Ann Reed, owner, Paul Adaman applicant, 65 Church Street, plat map 4, lot 42. Request for a dimensional variance to construct a 4x8 accessory structure with less than the allowed property line setback in the waterfront zoning district. The variance, it's not due to any hardship, unique characters of the subject land or structure, not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, not to the physical or economic disability of the applicant. It is because we find that this structure is barely a structure. It's gonna be tied down, and this is the reason why he's here. It's really more of a garden piece. And the applicant has had trouble growing things where this structure is going to grow, and as part of, will be future part of the garden and should be nice. Hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant, but could be from other businesses 50, 100 years ago. The granting of the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area. The request conforms to the purpose and intent of the Warren zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan. Granting of the variance will not, did I just read that?
Yeah, it's not
I
gonna,
just read
it's
that.
not gonna cause an.
Leave it too long. The pergola will enhance the property, make it pretty. And it'll probably be very difficult to see from the street, but I would think that the neighbors, the abutting neighbors would also enjoy the pergola and probably give them a little bit more privacy as well. If the if the variance was not granted, it would greatly impair Mr. Adamans' garden. And this will be a nice improvement to his property.
All right, are there any conditions or amendments? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the motion is passed 5-0. So you're free to proceed with your pergola, Mr. Adams.
Thank you very much.
That concludes the new business. I think Mr. Holby has one administrative matter he'd like to mention.
I'm going to resign from the board. This was my last meeting.
Not even gonna show up for Thursday?
I should show up for Thursday, but I can't. I want to thank you all. I want to thank Heidi and Maya for being here, and remember Rhonda Fortin and all those good memories, and Matt, good job too, and Ben's not here, or Tony DeSisto, and of course the members of the board. You've all been great to work with. I've enjoyed being here. It's really been a pleasure of mine. And I think the board's in good hands with you guys. And I would especially like to thank the chairman, Mr. Ellis, for his wisdom and help and his insight and intelligence and his love of the town of Warren, as we all have. And it's been a pleasure working with you, Andrew. And I'm going to miss it.
Well, we will also miss you very much, Barrett, and we greatly appreciate the number of years you've spent on this board and your commitment and the time as vice chair that you served on the board. And we've always found your commentary insightful and thought-provoking and a real benefit to this board. So we will miss your service.
Thank you for those kind words. I will be missing you guys.
So Michael, this is how this works. He resigns as a regular member. If you're so inclined to become a regular member, you then need to apply to the town when they post a notice for Barrett's vacant position. And then you'll go to an interview before the town council with any other applicants, and they will decide whether they want to appoint you to fill his position or not. If they do appoint you, then they will need to advertise your position as first alternate as a vacancy. And Mr. Francis can choose to apply for the position of first alternate, and should he be appointed, then they would advertise the position of second alternate as a vacancy. So it may be several months before the board has its full contingent again, because we have to go through this process of filling these positions. Or if you don't want to apply, you don't have to fill any need to apply, you're under no obligation. So Barrett will submit it. Barrett will, can he send a letter by email to you, Maya, that can then be forwarded to the town council?
Mr. Chair, if I may, on the town's behalf, Barrett, this is shocking to me that you're leaving, and it was enjoyable for my time being here, but I would ask that if you could get that resignation, if you are to do it immediately, if you could have it to me by tomorrow morning, because we do have a council meeting tomorrow night and we may be able to hear it tomorrow night.
So then they can start the advertising process.
Yeah, so then we can get the process for next month. That's not a definite, but I'll see if we can get
If you
it.
want to write it on that yellow pad and hand it to Maya, she can.
I resign.
I quit.
I'll email Maya tonight for the letter.
Just a reminder, our next meeting is on Thursday, not Wednesday.
This Thursday?
Not this
Oh.
Thursday, a week from this Thursday. Because that was the night this chamber was available, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Oh, that's right, it's a holiday on the Wednesday, we
Juneteenth.
couldn't meet on the holiday, so we're meeting on Thursday. So please all, plan on attending. Anyone else have any, announcements they'd like to offer? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yes, I think Bart's
So
made
nice.
that. Favor?
Sit there.
Aye.